just to make sure this new approach and these new mindsets are not all about peace and love. It doesn't come out of a hippie mindset necessarily. It's also following a lot of anger. And what I wanted to do in this slide is tell you about a short story about a startup that might seem irrelevant, but it has a lot to do with the situation we find ourselves in. The name of the startup is called Dollar Shave Club. It's a US-based startup. And it's catalyzing a lot of anger that guys especially feel about having to pay the equivalent of, let's say, $30-odd every month for shaving. Yeah? Your razor costs about $15 to $19 a month, especially if you buy these premium razors. And a set of replacement cartridges costs you more than that. It costs you about $20 US a month. And a lot of this technical innovation is around the number of blades. So 10 years ago, it used to be that 2 blades were enough to get a perfectly nice shave. Now it's 6, and comes with a lot of deceptive advertising around, the most attractive women in the room are automatically going to flock towards you if you shave with 6 blades. So this has created a lot of anger among common men around why does it have to be this way? And Dollar Shave Club is a startup that's solving for this by producing razors cheaply and good quality razors that you get for the equivalent of $1 a month through a subscription. Now, the point that I wanted to make is there is anger in a lot of realms. It's not just limited to men's grooming and shaving. There's anger against political institutions, against academic institutions, because they haven't been doing what they promised to do. Their promises are running way ahead of their actual delivery. And a lot of innovation happens increasingly outside these large institutions, whether it be private institutions, private companies, public sector institutions like governments and big universities, and also civic sector institutions. Some of the biggest foundations and NGOs are also running into the same anger. And increasingly, as a result of that anger, the innovation that we're seeing is happening outside these large institutions. So it becomes a question for us about how do we interact with this new innovative mindset that's increasingly not within the four walls of our institution. And if we move on to the next couple of slides, I'm reaching the end of my talk. There are very different mindsets operational in the world today that we don't hear a lot about. You hear a lot about the mindset of Silicon Valley. It's inescapable. And what I want to propose, there are lots of new innovative thinking happening outside the usual places, the usual suspects, like Silicon Valley. Here's a prime example of a man I've come to admire a lot, a man named Enrique Peñalosa, who was the ex-mayor of Bogota in Colombia. And along with the mayor that followed him, was responsible for turning this huge city of about a few million people from a crime capital, South America, one of the model cities in the UN. And he did it with a change in mindset. And all the park building and road building came after that. The first thing you had to change was your mindset, which I've tried to capture from the slide with a very famous quote from his. He talks about what is a developed country or what is a developed society. And he goes on to say, as a metaphor, it's not a society where the poor people have access to cars or private transport. The developed country is a place where the rich people have changed their minds and got into the act of riding public transport. So I want to present this as a sort of mindset shift that's going to background a lot of the work that we all do to make the world a better place. And I want to end, you go to the last slide, with one of the startling scientific discoveries of our time. I don't know if you know all of this, but all of us in the room have a brain, which is captured in the slide. And the second brain is actually in the linings of our intestine. Yeah? And research is starting. Modern science is just coming to grips with what is the second brain, what does it do, how does it work? Some of the preliminary conclusions that it's tied to our sense of emotion and our sense of intuition. So what we used to call gut feeling in a very casual way 10 years ago is now the cutting edge of science. And I wanted also to introduce you to a word in Icelandic called insight, that the meanings of it beautifully capture what I wanted to share with you, which is intuition or insight is not just about looking inside, which it is. It's a more reflective, it's a more introspective understanding of the world, but it's also then seeing the world from that faculty. Instead of using our perceptual senses, which are located in our brain, of seeing the world through the faculty of intuition or of compassion, or lots of other things that are opening up to us now. And I wanted to leave you with the question for all the people who are interested in education and technology of what might education, science, and technology look like in a world where we're just coming to grips with the idea that we have more nerve cells or neurons in the linings of our stomach than we have in what was previously thought to be the most sophisticated part of our biology. So thank you for indulging me in this short talk, and I'll be happy to address any thoughts or questions that come up here.